Hello, welcome to Walking Wednesdays. These sessions are going to take place the second Wednesday of every month from 12 to 12:30. And so I'm excited to have you join us today. If you weren't able to join us live, thanks for tuning in to our recording. We will record each session so that you can join in and watch whenever it's convenient for you. I'm Kirsten Philpott. I am one of your Salt Lake County Employee Wellness Health Educators, and I will be hosting these sessions. Walking Wednesdays are all about movement. There's no slides or participation required beyond simply listening. If you have questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat or unmute yourself. But also, you're welcome to just think of this as a live podcast where you can just press play, listen, and move your body. Our goal is simple: get you moving during the next 30 minutes. So, whether you're walking at your desk, bouncing on a yoga ball, stretching, or walking around your building, we want you to try and be active. I will be on my desk treadmill, so if you hear me getting out of breath or you see me bobbing up and down, that's why. So, let's grab your headphones and let's get moving. Just like our last workshop, today's session is inspired by questions you've submitted anonymously. As I mentioned last month, I try to group similar questions together to make the workshops more focused and easier to follow, rather than jumping around between different topics. If today's question sparks any new thoughts or new questions for you, you can scan the QR code that's on the screen, or I will also link the survey in the chat. Feel free to click and submit your questions at any time during the workshop. Okay, let's dive right in. Today's first question, and the majority of the questions, focus in and around movement. But I want to start with this first question because I think it will set the tone for my answers for the rest of the day. So the question was, why do we always have to be after a quantitative goal in terms of health? Why not just engage in an activity until we feel good? I love this question because at Salt Lake County Employee Wellness, we believe in taking a holistic approach to wellness. We recognize that there is not a one size fits all when it comes to health, fitness, and overall well being. Health at Every Size is a framework and movement that was popularized by Dr. Linda Bacon. It promotes health and well being without focusing on that quantitative number weight or as body size as a central indicator of health. Rather than viewing weight loss as the primary or most important goal, Health at Every Size, or HAES, emphasizes overall well being through healthy behaviors and body acceptance. The core principles and research behind HAES are based on promoting dignity, inclusivity, and non stigmatizing approach to our health. Our employee wellness program emphasizes this approach and recommends anytime we begin talking about food, nutrition, and exercise, we remember the 5 key principles of Health at Every Size. The first key principle is respect for all body sizes. HAES promotes respect for all bodies regardless of their shape, size, or appearance. It emphasizes that every person, no matter their weight, deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. Body diversity is principle number 2. It acknowledges that body shapes and sizes vary greatly and that there's no one size fits all approach to health. People can be healthy at a range of body sizes, and there's no ideal body type. Principle 3 is health enhancement. Rather than focusing on weight loss as a measure of health, HAES encourages behaviors that improve overall well being, such as engaging in enjoyable physical activity, eating nourishing foods, and managing stress. It emphasizes a holistic approach to health that includes physical, mental, and emotional well being. In our employee wellness program, this is where we emphasize adding healthy habits into our lifestyle rather than constantly trying to subtract or remove habits. Number 4 is the joy of movement. Hayes supports the idea that physical activity should be about enjoyment and moving in ways that feel good rather than as a means or a mode to simply lose weight. Exercise is encouraged for its positive impact on mood, energy, and overall health, not just as a weight control tool. And last but not least, eating for well being. Hayes promotes eating in a way that is attuned to hunger, fullness, and individual preference without being overly focused on calorie counting or restrictive dieting. It encourages eating with a focus on nourishing the body rather than achieving weight loss. To emphasize this principle, Brittany Perry, one of our health coordinators, and I are both certified intuitive eating counselors. And with this, we have created a 10-week intuitive eating course that allows our participants to explore how to practice and adopt the perspective of intuitive eating in their everyday life. So each of these 5 principles aim to move away from the weight-centric health model and focus instead on promoting positive, sustainable habits that support overall well-being independent of size. So, after that long tangent, let's go back to the question. Why do we always have to be after a quantitative goal in terms of health? Why not just engage in activity until we feel good? And the short answer is that we don't have to. Focusing on how we feel often works better than following strict rules that may make us push back against what's good for us. Instead, we recommend setting goals that focus on how you feel rather than chasing a number. This can be tough with weight, especially since many of us have been taught that the number on the scale is the main indicator of health. But studies show that that's simply not the case. Someone in a smaller body can still have health issues, while someone in a larger body can be perfectly healthy, and vice versa. Thanks to modern medicine, we can learn more about our health through regular checkups and lab tests. This is why we want all of our participants to go in for a yearly annual physical. But we can also pay attention to how our bodies feel. When we do this, our bodies can tell us a lot. I learned this during my 3 pregnancies with gestational diabetes. While I had to check my blood sugars and check that number regularly, I also knew I needed to learn to listen to my body with this new condition. I noticed certain foods gave me more energy and made me feel good, while other foods caused dizziness and headaches. By choosing the foods that made me feel better, unsurprisingly, my blood sugars then stayed in range. Even with health conditions that require specific diets, we can still tune in to our how our food and our movement makes us feel. When we do this, we often find that our feelings naturally align with the health recommendations we're given. It's about giving ourselves the power to listen to our bodies and act accordingly. However, many of us do struggle with knowing how to become more in tune with our body, which is why some guidelines can be effective and sometimes we see those quantitative goals coming about. They're there and effective in helping us know where to start. So, for example, the next few questions that were submitted by listeners talk a little bit more about quantitative goals that can still help us focus on what feels good inside our body instead of focusing on the numbers. So, one of the listener submitted questions were, how much strength training do you recommend doing a week? To answer this, we're going to start off with the recommendation from the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, which recommends that adults get 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic activity and 2 days of muscle strengthening exercises each week. The duration of strength training sessions depends on factors such as experience, goals, and available time. But typically, when it comes to strength training, a session lasts anywhere between 20 to 45 minutes, depending on your muscle endurance level. For general health benefits, aim for 1 to 2 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions per muscle group. Muscle groups would be something like your biceps and then your triceps and then your lats if we're working on our arms and our back. If you're focused on building strength, we want to go for 3 to 5 sets of 4 to 6 repetitions each. For muscle growth, aim for 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions per exercise. Now, keep in mind when we're talking about strength training, this is in addition to our 150 minutes of aerobic activity, which can seem overwhelming. So, an example of a simple weekly routine you could follow is this. Day 1 is 45 minutes of aerobic exercise. Day 2 is 30 to 45 minutes of strength training. Day 3, 45 minutes of aerobic exercise. Day 4, 30 to 45 minutes of strength training. Day 5, 30 minutes of aerobic exercise. Day 6, 30 minutes of aerobic exercise. And day 7 is a rest day. Remember, your aerobic activity doesn't have to be done all at once. You can break up that 45 minutes or that 30 minutes of aerobic exercises into 2 to 5 minute sessions throughout the day. The goal is simply to get our heart rate up and to break a light sweat during them. And while strength training is most effective when we do it in one session because it can help our muscles kind of burn out, which is what helps them strengthen, breaking it up through the day is still absolutely accessible. Um, and okay, we can do this by targeting different groups of muscles during each session. So, for example, before work, set aside 5 minutes and do 2 sets of bicep curls. At work, you're going to do 2 sets of tricep extensions. Before lunch, do 2 sets of lat pull downs. And after lunch, do 2 sets of lunges. And then that. So before you leave work, do 2 sets of bicep curls. Once you get home, do 2 sets of tricep extensions. After dinner, do 2 sets of lat pull downs. And before bed, do 2 sets of lunges. When you're doing these exercises, they can be done with body weight or resistance band or weights, depending on what you have available and what your time constraints are. This approach can help you stay active and make the most of your day. And remember to have fun. Exercise is far more effective when we are doing something we enjoy, since that will keep us motivated and coming back for more. Another quick reminder is that as a county employee, you and your family are eligible for discounted passes to all county recreation centers. To take advantage of this benefit, simply complete the Fitness Pass application available on the Employees Perk page of the county website. All right, next question. How can I improve my flexibility as well as my walking speed and endurance? Okay, so part 1. Improving flexibility takes time and consistent effort. There's new research out there showing that flexibility and balance are actually linked to our brain health as we age. So it's important that we prioritize them. The key to increasing flexibility is regular practice. Stretch before and after each walk or movement session. Muscles are the most responsive to stretching when they're so make sure you dedicate time after each exercise to lengthen your muscles. Deep breathing while stretching can also help relax your muscles and improve flexibility. If you're looking for specific stretches, YouTube and Pinterest offer a great many resources for guided routines. There are also activities like yoga, Pilates, and Tai Chi that are also excellent at improving flexibility, balance, strength, and even have that aerobic fitness aspect to them as well. Now, when it comes to walking and endurance, much of it comes down to personal motivation. It's not just about getting the desire to get moving, but it's the drive to challenge and compete against yourself. Many of us tend to settle into a natural pace and stick to it unless we have someone to encourage us, either verbally or through action. To increase speed and endurance, having an external motivator can be incredibly helpful. This could be a coach, a friend, or accountability partner. It could also be as simple as using music or an app on your phone. For example, you can create a playlist with varying tempos and challenge yourself to match your pace to the beat. If you enjoy podcasts and listening to them while you're walking, try walking faster during the speaking segments and slowing down during the breaks. If you want to just be outside and enjoy nature without having someone in your ear, that's okay. Grab a timer and time yourself on, then aim to beat that time with each. Or if you do prefer to have a coach guiding, fitness apps can provide a structured plan and offer real-time encouragement as you work to improve your speed and endurance. Ultimately, increasing speed, flexibility, and endurance requires consistent effort and finding motivation that works for you. Now, talking about walking, the next question is kind of along the same line of thinking. The question is, how can I train to run a marathon without injuring myself at my age? This question comes with perfect timing with March into May right here on the horizon, and preparing for the 5K that's hosted annually in April. But to answer this specific question, how can I train to run a marathon without injuring myself at my age? These questions are anonymous, which is perfect. So I don't actually know the age of this listener, and I'll take a lesson from my youth and choose not to assume or guess the age. And I also want to note that I am not a professional runner or a professional coach. However, Google is my friend, and after a deep dive in the world of running and marathon training, I have found 10 evidence-based tips that can help when working towards any long distance race. The first one is start slowly, build gradually. If you're new to running, haven't had or been a consistent runner, shorter runs and gradually increase your distance. A common rule of thumb is the 10% rule. Don't increase your weekly mileage by more than 10% each week to avoid overloading your body. It's also important to let your body adapt to the increasing stress of running. Number 2, include rest and recovery days. Rest is crucial to preventing injuries. To make sure to take at least 1 or even 2 days of rest a week, especially during your peak training. Active recovery, such as walking or light cycling, can also help keep you moving without putting too much strain on your muscles and joints. Number 3 is cross-training. Cross-training can help improve our overall strength, and so incorporating activities like cycling, swimming, or strength training into our routine helps build muscle strength, especially in our legs, core, and hips. This can help improve our running form and help prevent imbalances that lead to injury. Or exercises like planks and leg work, like lunges and squats, are especially beneficial. Number 4, focus on proper running form. Maintaining proper form reduces stress on your body, so make sure you're keeping a relaxed posture, maintain a slight forward lean from your ankles, and avoid overstriding, which means landing with your foot too far in front of you. Your feet should land directly under your body to minimize impact and avoid injury. Number 5, incorporate long runs and speed work. Long runs help you build the endurance needed for a marathon, so aim to gradually increase the distance of your long run. But don't try to push for speed during these runs. Speed work training should be done once or twice a week to build cardiovascular fitness without overdoing it. 6, listen to your body. You know your body best, so pay attention to any pain or discomfort and adjust as needed. If you experience persistent pain, it's important to rest and, if necessary, seek professional advice before continuing your training. Running through pain often leads to more serious injuries. Number 7, invest in proper running shoes. Wearing shoes that are specifically designed for running and that fit your foot type and running gait are some of the best ways to avoid injury. Running in worn out or injured shoes can increase the risk of injury. So visit a specialized running store and you can get fitted for the right pair for you. Number 8, stretch and foam roll. As we talked about earlier, stretching and flexibility are crucial to not only our body's mobility, but also to avoid injury. So make stretching a regular part of your routine. Stretch your major muscle groups after each run to maintain flexibility and reduce muscle tightness. Foam rolling can also help release muscle tension and improve recovery. Step 9 is fuel properly. Make sure you're eating enough to fuel your body for your training. Adequate nutrition and hydration will help with recovery and performance. Pay attention to your electrolytes during long runs and consider energy gels or snacks when running longer distances. And then last but not least, stay consistent but be flexible. Consistency is key to marathon training, but life as we know it throws us curveballs and can get in the way. If you miss a workout or need to modify your plan, don't stress. Just adjust your schedule and keep moving forward. Staying mentally flexible can help prevent burnout as well as injury. Remember that marathon training is a marathon in and of itself. Gradual progress, rest, and listening to your body are the keys to crossing the finish line injury-free. All right. Question number 3 regarding movement has to do with a specific type of exercise called rucking. The question is there a form of mild rucking that the average person can do to exercise, but not necessarily in the woods? So, for those who are unfamiliar, rucking involves walking with weight on your backs, typically using a weighted backpack or vest. This practice, which originated in military training, serves as an effective form of aerobic exercise. It's often used to build stamina and endurance for activities like backpacking, but it also provides significant cardiovascular benefits. While rucking is commonly associated with rugged terrain such as mountains or forests, it can be done anywhere. By simply adding weight to your backpack, or for gentler versions, you can hold weights in your hands or add them to your ankles. You can enjoy the benefits of rucking. Whether you're walking around your neighborhood or at a local track, this accessible form of exercise can be easily incorporated into your routine and can be a more mild form than wandering around the mountains or the forests. Okay, last question for today is to answer the question, in what ways can we make healthy habits more accessible? I wanted to end on this because I think when it comes to any type of movement or any type of behaviors we're trying to adopt, really what it comes down to is our habits. So once again, the question was, what are some ways we can make healthy habits more accessible? As I mentioned last time, one of my favorite resources on this topic is Atomic Habits by James Clear. His book is filled with practical and actionable strategies for habit formation. And there's one concept in particular that I find especially powerful when it comes to making healthy habits more accessible. And that is his third law of habit formation, which is make it easy. We often view people who are consistently healthy or as being exceptionally disciplined, but Clear argues that they don't necessarily have more self-discipline than you or me. Instead, they've designed their environments and cultivated habits in a way that make healthy behaviors the easiest behaviors. The key is setting up your surroundings to align with your goals and make healthy choices the default. Let me share an example. If your goal is to increase your intake of fruits and vegetables, one way to do this is by placing your apples and bananas on your kitchen counter where you're more likely to see them and they're more accessible to grab. Similarly, if you want to eat more vegetables, you can store your carrots and peppers at the very front of your fridge so they're the first thing you see and the first thing you reach for when you open that door. In the same way, if your goal is to be more physically active, one simple adjustment could be to leave your sneakers by the front door or lay out your workout clothes the night before. The idea is to streamline your environment so that the healthier option is the most accessible, and the actions you'd prefer to avoid, like skipping your workout, becomes harder to carry out. By reducing friction in your environment, you're much more likely to stick to your desired new habits. Another crucial concept of atomic habits is identity-based habits. Clear explains that when you adopt the identity of the person you want to become, such as, I am a fit person, you begin to make decisions that align with that identity. This shift then focuses what you're doing to who you're becoming. For example, if your goal is to become someone who exercises regularly, start asking yourself, what would a person who exercises regularly do? Would they wake up early to exercise? What would they eat? How would they approach their fitness routine? And once you begin answering these questions and then acting in alignment with those answers, that identity of a person who exercises regularly then becomes your actions and will naturally reflect that self-image you want to have. Over time, these behaviors will become second nature because they are in line with who you believe you are. So in short, to make healthy habits more accessible, we need to focus on two main strategies. One, simplify your environment to make healthy choices the easiest choice. And two, adopt the identity of the person or the habit you want to become, allowing your habits to flow naturally from that self-image. When we set ourselves up for success in these ways, we increase the likelihood that our healthy behaviors will be ones that we stick to and become an effortless part of our daily lives. All right, so that is all the time we have for questions today. But before we wrap up, I wanted to address a common topic we received this month, which is menopause and perimenopause. We've had several questions on this subject, and it's clear that many of you are interested in learning more. And so to better support you, I'll be hosting a 3-week-long menopause series starting on Thursday, March 20th. Signups are now available on our website if you'd like to join, but this is a way that we can go further into depth rather than using our Walking Wednesday. We'll really dive into it through this 3-week series. As always, if you have any questions you'd like answered in future Walking Wednesdays, please click on that link in the chat and feel free to submit them. If you have any additional questions for me right now, don't hesitate to drop them in the chat or unmute yourself and ask. Otherwise, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you again in March.